in between two tchumim, 2,000 amas, 2,000 amas. They meet in the middle there, and right, half of the lake is part of one tchum, half of the lake is part of the other tchum. So the question is, if somebody on this side gets water from the lake, it's all mixing. So he's taking water that belongs to the other tchum beyond the tchum. So it says, Mechitza shel barza lafsiko. You need a metal
barrier.
wall, barrier in between the lake, in the middle of the lake, so that the water on one side of the lake belongs to that city, and the water on the other belongs to the other city. Mechayach alei Rabbi Yossi Rav Chanina. Rabbi Yossi smiled. He didn't think that was correct. So my time come mechayach. Why did he smile? Is it because he felt that brisa was passing like Rabbi Yochanan l'chumra? The Yusfi like Rabban l'kula, and he holds Rabban l'kula that the Chachamim said that the tchum of the water is based on the tchum of the person who draws it. So umishum desavar l'kula man t'tay l'chumra mechayich alei. So understand, because he holds leniently, and there's a brisa that holds chumra. Why would he negate such a brisa? He understands that there's another Tana who holds differently. So that can't be the reason why he smiled. We said before, a flowing river or a flowing spring. So since the water never comes to rest, it never establishes its own chum. Then whoever picks up that water, the water follows whatever that guy's chum is. And this lake, being that it has moving water, never establishes its own chum. You don't need a mechitza shel barzel. Freit the Gemara, the dilma b'mechunasim. What do you mean? Maybe this body of water is not a moving body of water. It does establish a chum. So what's the reason that he smiled? Elam mishum diktani. He smiled at the corrective recommendation where it said tzarich mechitza shel barzel lafsiko. Because if you just put a bunch of reeds there, why would that work? Because it would not be a barrier to water. What do you mean? You can't make a complete waterproof metal division so that water doesn't cross. And so the Gemara says, fine. So maybe Dilma tzarech ve'lo takana covered. That means when you say you need a metal divider, the fact that you can't physically do it means there's no takana, and therefore you can't use the water. And maybe that would be the answer. The reason why he smiled and laughed, because he knows that the general rule by Chazal is to be mekel by water. They would never be machmir by water. They're always mekel. Rav Tavla, the boy named Rav Tavla Meirav. We had a case of a hanging. Let's say you have a balcony overlooking a body of water. So that's called a mechitza tluya. There we learned you could make a hole in the floor of the balcony and use a bucket and draw water from the water below your balcony. Because we use a concept of mechitza tluya, it's like we draw imaginary walls down from our balcony, enclosing the water. Because water is such an important resource, and the Chachamim always made it easy for us to get water. By other cases, no, but by water, yes. So by the case of the water, they would not require mechitza shel barzel. Then the Mishnah said there was a machlokas in the Mishnah. If you have arba amos, if you didn't have a tchum, you get arba amos. So the Chachamim elo ela arba. So Rabbi Yehuda also said arba. Hainu tanakama. On Rava, shmona al shmona ikminau. That means Do you see yourself as the middle of 4, so you only can go 2 to one side, 2 to the other side, and it's mamish 4 by 4? Or you can go 4 to this way and 4 to that way, which leads to an 8 by 8 carrying field. Tani Ramachi, Yesh L'Shmon Al Shmon, Rav Meir. According to Rav Meir, it says very clearly 8 by 8. Amar Rav Machlokas Lahalech. That's in terms of where you can walk. But when we say that you, like when you're in Ben Hashmosh, when you're in Rosh Hashanah, you can only carry Dal Amis, Divra Kol Arba Amos in Tfelo. You can't go more than Arba Amos. Now, this law of Arba Amos, where is that written? Hani Arba Amos Hechik Siva. Kiditanya, it says, Shvu Ish Tachtav. Everybody should sit underneath himself. Meaning, he sits on an area, Kitachtav. Kama Tachtav Gufa Shalosh Amos. So, if you lie a person down, most people are about 3 amas, like 6 feet. So their height is 6 feet. And then when you stretch your arm out above your head, it's another amma. So Kedei Livshot Yadav Raglav de Rav Meir. You have to have enough room to lie down and spread out your hands and feet. You need an amma in order to take an item that is either under your feet or under your head. Now, my binay, what's the difference from Meir Rav Yehuda? It can be arba amis in some ways. According to Rav Meir, according to Rav Yehuda, would be exactly arba amis. According to Rav Meir, it's not exact. It could be a little bit more. Rav Misharshi said to his son, when you go to learn Rav Papa, boy, they ask him, Arba Amish Amru, is it Ba'amadi Day Yavina Le or Ba'amashal Kodesh Yavina Le? There used to be a standard Amma, like they have in the United States Mint. They have a standard measurement thing, like Bureau of Measurements. So they had in the base of Mikdash a standard Amma. Or is everybody's Amma based on their own Amma? So if we follow the Amma of the Beis HaMikdash, what would Og Melech HaBashan do? He would be able to walk anywhere because his Amma is much bigger. And if your answer is yes, we measure by everyone's individual Amma, then the question is, my time Gabi, there is a baraisa which says the following things are measured according to the individual person. For example, the amount of a koimetz for a mincha, or the amount of a cheek full in terms of how much you're going to be chayav for drinking on Yom Kippur. So that's individualized based on the person. Now, if that's the case regarding Arba Amos, it should have been listed over there as well. It's based on an individual person, but it's not listed there. So Ki also Kamei Rav Papa Amarle Ida Kinan Kulahai Lohavi Taninon. If we would be medayek the way you're being medayek, we won't be able to understand this mission at all. Because we measure according to the individual person's amma. Why wasn't it mentioned over there in that baraisa? You know why? Because the lo psikale. Because it's not an absolute cutoff. If you have a dwarf, we don't limit his arba amos to just his arba amos. There you would use the amma of Beis HaMikdash, otherwise he wouldn't be able to go anywhere. So therefore, it's not a dover psuka, always the same halacha. It's got variation. So that why wasn't mentioned over there. So then the Mishnah said, we had 2 people that shared a tchum. Then we had 3 people that shared a tchum. We said the middle guy can work with the 2 outer guys. But the two outer guys can't, just because they're joined by the middle guy, they can't work together. And then we were given an example by Reb Shimon, like 3 chatzeros. Why did we need a tzushtel to the case of a chatzeros? So Hachi Karmel Reb Shimon Rabban. Let's see. What is this like? Right? 3 chatzeros that are open to each other. And they need an Eruv. And there we also said A and C that make an Eruv with B can go to B, but the A and C can't go together. Now, the plikusu, there, Reb Shimon notes, you make a machlokas. Here, by the individual person that has an overlapping tchum, you don't argue. So, Rabban Hasam Avshidiyurin, because there's multiple people that can live in a chutzner, each one's not going to know what the other person is doing. Hacha, here, you're talking about individuals, Avshidiyurin, so there was no reason to be machmir there. And the Mishnah said, the A and C can't work with B. Since the two outer ones made an Eruv with the inner one, then it's like one, the 3 chatzeros should be viewed as one, and they should not be able to work with each other. On Rav Yehuda, it's not so posh. It's not that the two outer people put their Eruv in the middle. The middle guy put one Eruv in A and another Eruv in B. But Rav Sheshes or Rafilu Temer wouldn't be No. We could say they still are answering even when A puts their Eruv in B and C puts their Eruv in B. But Kigon Shenasnu B'Shnei Batim. There happened to be 2 houses in the middle chutzner. And they didn't put it in one house; they put it in 2 houses, and therefore it's not machaber the two outer chatzeros to one. Who is that like? Kiman kebei Shammai. The Tanya. Chamisha shegavu es Eruvin. You have an apartment house with 5 apartments, and they want to carry into a communal chutzner. So they collect bread from each person. And they're supposed to put it into one of the apartment houses, one of the apartment dwellings. Then it becomes like one apartment for everybody, and then everyone can use everything. However, Nasnu b'shnei kelim. They put it in one house, but they put it in 2 kelim. Is that a problem? Beis Shammai omrim ein eruvin eruv. The eruv isn't good. It was not ma'ariv them because it was put in 2 kelim, even though it's in one house. No, it does work. So the Gemara wants to say that our case where we said that A and C put their eruv into 2 different kelim and the bias in the middle is going like Beis Shammai. Now the Gemara is of course not happy with that. We're not going to set up a price like Beis Shammai. So the Gemara says, "Afilu teme Beis Hillel." Beis Hillel will allow if the 2 kelim are in one house. But if you make an Eruv Chatzeros and you put the pieces of the Eruv in 2 different houses in one Chatzer, then even Beis Hillel will say it doesn't work. So our case as well, in our Mishnah, is when A and C put Eruvim in 2 different houses in the middle, and that so even Beis Hillel would not allow you to use it. You know what? The Rav Yehuda Kasha, Rav Sheshes Kasha. I'll ask you a Kasha on both. The Rav Yehuda Kasha, the Amar Kigon Shenosna and Sois Eruva. You wanted to say that the reason why we aser in the Mishnah is because Mr. B put his Eruv in A and put another Eruv in C. Now, since the middle guy sort of put an Eruv in both places, why isn't it Avalei Chada? Once he joined, let's say, C, so now C and B are together. Now he puts his Eruv into A. He's making the shlichus, and therefore, what's wrong with that all being one bias? So it's a kasha on the way Rav Yud explained. Well, Rav Sheshes kasha as well, where Rav Sheshes wanted to say that A and C put the Eruv in two different kelim, or in two different batim in B. Because it shouldn't be any worse than 5 people that are dwelling in one chutzner. There are 5 houses that open up into one chutzner. And one of the guys forgot to use it, the Asri Adodi. So it can be like, why don't we just say it's Asr? Because one of them didn't participate. Amar Rav Ashi, Lol Rav Yehuda kasher, Lol Rav Sheshes kasher. I will for both shilas. The Rav Yehuda la kasha, meaning we wanted to say B made an Eruv with C. So why don't we view when he makes the Eruv with A as a joint shlichus from B and C together? Because Kivin the Arvela and Tzos Badi Chitzona, once B made an Eruv with, let's say, C, but Ushtaim Chitzon's Badi Adar Lo Irva, but A and C never made an Eruv together. They obviously didn't want it to be A and C together. Therefore, that's why it's not work. Rav Sheshes loy kasha. Im amru diyurin lahakil yomid lachmir. We're not diyurin. Having multiple diyurin is usually meant to be matir. You're going to throw diyurin in to be machmir, as if they're dwelling in the chutzner. That we're not going to say. Rav Shimon. Up until now, this is all according to Rav Shimon. About chachamim oimrim, rishus achas, mishameshes l'shtei rishuyos. It's permitted for A and C to carry into B, right? One rishus can permit for 2 people, right? There's no isser for the chatzeros achitzonos because they made an eruv with the one. But to be able to carry from the outer chatzeros from A and C to different chatzeros, that the kli that's in one, in the middle one, is sort of draws the other ones with them. We don't say that. However, ki amrita kamei de Shmuel, when this statement was said in front of Shmuel, Amar li, avzuti Rav Shimon. This is how Rav Shimon understands as well. In fact, chachamim oimim shloishton asuros. In fact, it's a different understanding of the way we've been learning. Really, it's only Rav Shimon that allows the 2 people to work with the inner guy and the out, and the 2 A and C can't work with each other. But the Chacham don't allow anything to happen. None of the Rishuyos can work with each other. And we'll see tomorrow why. We'll learn that tomorrow. Okay.